All right, the Panthers, big win. We got to get into it. We'll just start with that, right? My Carolina Panthers. I woke up little late. We'll admit. Supposed to wake up at 9:30. Woke up around 10ish. Put the game on. Was very excited to see how we performed in Germany, and we killed it to the point where my sister's boyfriend was texting me and was like, "Panthers should just move to Germany at this point." I was like, "Yeah, it's not a bad point at all." Bryce played great, like really good. That's probably one of Bryce's best games, if not his best game. Now, we wore our best uniform set because we wore the blue jerseys with the black pants and the black helmets. I honestly am starting to think we just need to make the shift. Like, make the Blues. I'm not even starting to think this. I've thought this for a while. This just confirmed it for me. Make the Blues the home jerseys, make the blacks the alternates. Or, okay, you love the black jerseys, they're iconic, fine, whatever. But make the main helmet black. And black helmet looks awesome. It is our best look. Black pants looks great, so make our black jerseys like a blackout looking thing with the black pants, the black helmet. The blue jersey goes great with the black helmet, black pants. And then for the white uniforms, black pants, black helmets. Would that look okay? I'm not sure. Hopefully it does. I must admit, I didn't think that part through. I'm assuming it looks fine. Maybe it looks a little weird. If we have to keep the gray pants for that, we will. Or maybe we do triple mismatch of blue pants. I don't know. But the more blue and like black, the better. Less silver. Like no silver in my world. No silver for the Panthers. Just black, blue, and white. I don't like the silver. It kills the vibe. So, all right. But Bryce Young. I think I am starting to fall in love with him once again. I'm pulled back in. I am falling back in love with Mr. Bryce Young. Now, I know a lot of you are like, "Oh, Ryan, you said they needed to draft somebody new. You said all these bad things." I did. But given what I saw, what else was I supposed to say? Like, I don't know. I hate the idea that it's like, oh, well, he's switching up. He said that Bryce was bad and they need to draft somebody. I was never like, hey, Bryce Young, I want to see you fail. I was like, it's, I'm sad. I wanted him to be good, but, it's not going to work out here. We need to move on. Need to get rid of him. He's just not good. Blah, blah, blah. And I was wrong. And I'm, like, really happy about that. Now, granted, he could not win a game the rest of the season, and then we are drafting somebody new. But I really hope it's not the case. I really think he's starting to find his stride. Really think he's playing well. And I'm really glad that I was wrong about him. And I just hate the tendency online to be like, well, if you're not with us when we're 0-16, don't be with us when we're 12-5. And it's like, shut up. Like, if you're like a diehard supporter of a player that's like clearly doing, like, I just don't understand the thought process of if somebody was like, oh, well, you switched up on Bryce Young. I'm like, Bryce Young is playing bad, and I said that. I called him out. There's no point in lying to people. It just doesn't make sense. I feel like we do this anymore with sports, with movies, with anything, where it's like, oh, well, if like your opinion the first time is like defined. It's like you're not allowed to change your opinion. I'm like, I don't understand this thought process, because then we just lead to people being stubborn and not changing their minds, and then we wonder why people don't get along. Well, it's because they're told to be stubborn and not change their minds. You have to be right the first time or else you're an idiot. I just don't understand. Now, granted, we should make fun of people that say crazy shit. I get it. You can make fun of me for saying that if Bryce Young goes on to win a Super Bowl, we can always pull up the clips of me saying we had to get rid of him. I was wrong. That doesn't mean I'm not a real Panthers fan. For what it's worth, no one is approaching me and saying these things. These are all hypothetical scenarios. But this type of thing does happen all the time anymore, both online and in person. I've seen people do this argument, and I just think it's stupid. So I'm just addressing it. But for those of you that listen to this and are like, oh, poor Ryan, who's saying that? No one is saying these things to me. No one cares that much about my Panthers fandom to say these things to me. Everyone's just happy that I'm wearing my Bryce Young shirt ski with pride instead of shame now. So, But Bryce played really well. I'm really happy for him. I tweeted out the Bryce Young Drake 9 edit, that song by Drake, would hit, and I did find one on TikTok, and so if you want to see that, go look at my Twitter. I guess I hardly ever mention I have Twitter. It's @sortofsportspod. I don't think the capitalization matters on Twitter, so @sortofsportspod. Picture is Jokic, just like everything else, so. He keeps playing like this. Bryce is going to be the profile picture. Truly is, and I'm very happy with that. But Bryce played really well Sunday. We get the week off, and then we're going to go back and play the Kansas City Chiefs, and I feel really good about that game. I honestly think if there's any team that could beat the Devil Magic, it's us. It's actually probably going to be the Bills this Sunday, for being honest. But maybe they can take back-to-back losses. That would be crazy. They just start, spiraling. That'd be pretty awesome. But, Bryce, the big thing for me that proved to me that he's not getting it now, because I'm going to title this episode, I think, he gets it now. He threw a pass, and it was too far ahead of Jalen Coker. I think it was second or third down. They needed it. And the camera cuts to him, and he just yells, "Fuck!" And you can see how pissed he was. And I was like, oh my gosh. He's angry. And I know you're thinking, why does this? I'm like, no. This is huge. Because it used to be Bryce would mess up. He'd throw an interception. He'd do something bad. He'd just kind of be like, oh, and he'd look sad. He'd trot off, and he'd unclip his helmet, and he'd just kind of, oh, dang it. Now he's pissed. It means something to him now. I honestly think sitting out pissed him off, made him angry, made him upset, but in a good way. I think it motivated him. And, you got to think, he has been an elite talent his entire life. Middle school, dominated. High school, dominated. College, dominated. Right? He hasn't had to struggle a lot. He's taken some losses, right? But for the most part, he's been relatively dominant. Well, then he goes to this Panthers team, and they're losing all the time. He's no longer dominant. I think that messed with him. And that just kind of made him disengage and kind of pull out emotionally. And when they got benched, it was kind of a wake-up call. It's like, whoa, this isn't how this is supposed to go. It made him lock in, pissed him off. And that was kind of a do or die when he got put back in for Andy Dalton last week. This is kind of his last ride. See if he can still be our franchise guy. And he's trying to prove it to us right now. And you can tell he really cares. I just love that for him. I'm really glad he's finding success. He looks really happy with winning, and I really hope we continue to win. For being realistic, probably not going to beat the Chiefs. But it would just be so awesome if we did, and it'd be such a great moment. Because what really makes me angry, too, is when we benched Bryce, it was all over ESPN. All over. That's all they were talking about. It's breaking news. The Panthers are benching Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick. And then they pull up stats. Bryce Young's got the worst number one overall pick for a quarterback. His numbers are the worst since, Jamarcus Russell. They were just pulling out crazy shit. And then, you had guys being like, NFL is a quarterback development problem. They should be letting him blah, 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 blah. So, you have people going, wow, the Panthers are just one of the worst organizations in the sport. They're the new Dan Snyder Washington Commanders. They're just going to be terrible. People are telling me, are you sure you don't want to go pick a different team? It was all over ESPN. They were just shit-talking the Panthers, saying how we failed Bryce, but then also pointing out how bad Bryce was. It was so stupid and so annoying. And, I remember all these people would come up and talk to me about the Panthers, which was nice. I enjoy people coming up and talking to me about the Panthers. But it annoyed me the way the media was portraying this. Well, now all of a sudden, Bryce is back. Bryce is playing well. They're not talking about that. It's not on ESPN, hey, Bryce Young's won back-to-back games. They were happy to mention on the broadcast that he hasn't won back-to-back games since the Sugar Bowl. I was like, why would you even say that? What the hell? That's just goodness. So, yeah, it just kind of makes me a little angry. I'm like, when ESPN had the opportunity to basically shit all over us, they took it, and now that the move was a good move, they just ignore it. And unless we beat the Chiefs, we're going to continue to be ignored. So I think it would be pretty awesome if we beat the Chiefs and kind of went like, hey, yeah, look at us. Huh? What do you think about that? So that would be awesome. And we did win in overtime. Defense stepped up. Josie Jewell had a couple great plays from the linebacker spot. He's coming along really well for the Panthers. But the overtime win was huge. And obviously the fumble really benefited us from the Giants. And he was really upset for the Giants. And everybody online was kind of like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You really don't need to be upset because now we've gotten closer to getting Cam Ward or Shador Sanders. So, like, don't be upset, Tyrone Tracy. Because Tyrone Tracy Jr. fumbled it. And they were like, you really don't need to be upset. Because all the fans online were like, we're going to get Shador Sanders or Cam Ward. So we're pretty happy. I don't think the Giants should get rid of Dayball. But there were some questionable plays. Some very questionable play calls. So I think they should keep Dayball. If I'm them, I'm drafting Shador. He's the best quarterback in the class. I think he could pair really well with Neighbors. Really think it could be an interesting team next year. And the Cowboys are on the down tick. The Eagles, who knows, is going to go on there. And obviously the Commanders are on the up. But Giants could be really fun next year. I think Shador is the most fun scenario. The whole like King of New York thing. Like he would be like the Francisco Lindor of football in New York. And that could be really cool. But I know he wants to go to the Raiders. But it would be kind of sweet if he went to the Giants. But we'll see. Also, I know this has been super Panthers heavy, but that is my favorite team, so that's why we talk about them a lot. Like if we're looking at this season alone for the NFL, we've got what 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes out of I don't know how many NFL centric episodes I've had this so far, but. Not sure. I'm not really going to count right now, but we've got 4 with Panthers thumbnails. This will make it 5. I understand you're like, this is a lot of Panthers coverage. Yeah, well, they are my favorite team. So if the Panthers are ever like really good within the next couple of years, like it's going to get out of hand probably. I'm going to have to force myself to make other things the thumbnail. And I just get so excited. I love the fact that we're coming along. I really do think we're coming along. So very, very happy. And now you're like, oh, well, Ryan, where does this put Bryce Young in your favorite quarterback rankings? Those are just in turmoil. Because, like, Baker's top dog and Lamar right after. And it's like Drake May is kind of beating out Justin Herbert. I love Justin Herbert, but, like, it's just a play style thing. And I know Herb could do it, but they're just, Drake May's doing what I want Herb to do. And then Bryce Young's, like, starting to sneak back in. Like... he's got the hood on. He's in incognito. He's got sunglasses on, little baseball cap covered by the hood. But it's like, oh wait, he might make a run for the title. Like imagine like a scene in like an Ocean's 11 movie. Like there's a diamond in the middle of the room, and they're all trying to steal the diamond and be my favorite quarterback. And yes, in this scenario, that is something people very much desire and care about. This is a lot of hubris, but we're gonna move on. Bryce Young is sneaking in. He's about to make his play for the diamond. Baker Mayfield's got the upper hand at the moment, but Bryce can make a run for it. So he's great. He just seems like a really nice guy, and I'm really happy that things are going well because I never doubted his character. He always seemed like a great dude. I just thought his talent might not be there, and it seems like his talent's coming along, and I really hope he's our guy. Also, I'm glad we're winning games. Like, I don't care to continue to be bad. I'm just happy. Okay, let's talk about the Chiefs' devil magic. We always make our jokes. The Chiefs are, doing witchcraft, and that's how they come out with all these crazy wins. I was watching Broncos-Chiefs. Well, actually, I was watching Commanders-Steelers because that was my main game of my slate. And then I switched to Broncos-Chiefs when I saw the Broncos about to win. And the Broncos lined up for a game-winning field goal. And there was genuinely a part of me that was like, oh my gosh, they're going to miss it because it's the Chiefs. And then it was blocked by the Chiefs. And I was like, of course. And all the Chiefs devil magic jokes online were going off about how it's obviously people kidding. But it is just like out of hand. Like, it's absurd. Every week, it's like some crazy shit happens. They pull out a win. This Chiefs team, and so I was talking to Quinn the other day. Longtime Sort of Sports podcast listeners remember the Big Salad. All the episodes are still up if you want to go listen to some old Big Salad. But I was talking to Quinn the other day, and Quinn said this Chiefs team reminds him of the 2020 Steelers, where, yes, they're undefeated, but everybody's kind of like, they're not that good. Like, they're not good enough to have this good of a record. And when they lose, they're going to spiral. And I think they're going to lose the Bills this week. And I think maybe they lose the Panthers next week. Maybe. I'm talking myself into it. I'm getting excited. Jalen Coker, Jatavion Sanders, Xavier Legette, they're coming after you, Chiefs. They're coming after you guys. But I do think they're going to start spiraling. I mean, it's still a really good team. Don't get me wrong. The defense is huge, but Mahomes is having his worst season. This is probably Kelsey's worst season, too. The defense is obviously elite. And apparently the special teams now, too. What the hell? I don't know what else to say. It's the Chiefs. I don't think they're the best team in the NFL, but if they go 17-0, it's kind of like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, what? I don't know. Genevieve had a really good idea. Genevieve said that the Drake May fan club should be named the Pilgrims because he's the Mayflower. I thought that was really funny. So I wanted to include that and tell you all that. She told me that on the phone the other night. And I was like, that's really good, G. I'm going to put that on the podcast. And she was like, oh, I appreciate it. And I was like, she's like, I don't think you've ever actually like mentioned something I said on the podcast. Like that wasn't like, oh, G said this. Just like it was something that was like an idea of hers. And I was like, I think I probably have at some point. If any of you are like have taken upon yourself to be the Sort of Sports podcast historian, let me know. But I'm willing to bet no one has done that. And for what it's worth, I would not wish that upon anyone. That's a lot of me talking for one person. So, and the only person who really willingly endorsed that was just mentioned. So, leave that to her. So, I will say, I actually missed watching Bears-Patriots, which I know is like prime time for me. I get to watch Drake May beat up on Caleb Williams, and not the most, like Caleb Williams has started to slow down. Now people are dogging on him. I just think it's weird. The switch up has been insane. It's been like 3 weeks. We're all like, oh, Caleb Williams is bad. I'm reserving judgment on Caleb Williams until they get rid of Eberflus and they bring in a new head coach. I don't think it's going to be Ben Johnson. I don't think he would leave the Lions for the Bears. Like, why? Why would you? No. But whoever they bring in, it's definitely not going to be Bill Belichick either. No. No. Caleb Williams is like the antithesis of what Bill Belichick would like in his quarterback. And I'm not saying that as in like he paints his nails. I'm saying that in like play style. This is not like, I know it's probably the way you interpreted it, but it's not. It's genuinely not that. It's like he wants like, I don't know, like a JJ McCarthy, or just like he can like dink and dab like Brock Purdy. It's like his ideal QB. He does not want Caleb Williams running around in the backfield, bombing shit downfield. So, but yeah, I did miss Bears-Patriots, and I'm very disappointed in myself. I don't know how I missed that. Like, I literally just forgot the game was being played, which is really upsetting because pretty much every week I kind of like memorized the schedule for the NFL that week. And so I watched Steelers. So I woke up, watched Panthers win, was very happy, went to lunch, came back, watched Steelers Commies. We're going to talk about that game in a moment. Then I read The Stand for 2 hours, and then I went for dinner, watched Sunday Night Football, and that was my day. An excellent day, actually, but I did miss Bears-Patriots, and I'm quite upset. But it's okay. I'll live. But Patriots did get a big win, so happy for Drake. I'm assuming he played well, apparently an interception. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to watch his game this week. I put in marquee matchups, even though it's not really a good game. I just don't care. I just did it. Speaking of that Sunday Night Football game, the Lions win in exciting fashion. They come back, game-winning field goal from Jake Bates. He had a great post-game interview. You should look it up if you haven't seen it. Seems like a great guy. And they come back for being down 23-7 at half to win the game. And they didn't let up any points. Like, that's the crazy part, is they didn't – they won 26-23, right? I guess I should have said that when I said they win the game. So they won 26-23. They were down 23-7 at half. Now, this game was full of interceptions. I think Jared threw – Jared threw 5. Yeah, that's what I thought. CJ threw 2. There was a period where Jared threw an interception, and then CJ turned around and threw one back. Like, they went back to back. It was absurd. First play of the second half, CJ Stroud threw an interception. CJ did not have a very good game. Jared obviously didn't either, but Jared won. So, to me, the fact that the Lions are able to win when Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions is just incredible. I saw some stat online where it's Jared Goff is like 6-0 whenever he throws like more than 4 interceptions, and somebody was like, he has the Texans right where he wants them, and apparently they were correct. So that's just hilarious. But, yeah, Lions come back in exciting fashion. I think everybody just kind of knows this is the best team in the NFL. And I said it last week. I kind of do think they're going to win the Super Bowl. But even when that comes in the playoffs, I don't think I'll pick it. Sorry, I didn't text you. I had to answer really quick. Bad podcasting etiquette by me, but I just kind of went for it. Anyways, I don't think I'll pick them to win the Super Bowl just because I don't want to mess with their mojo. They have good mojo. They lost their best defensive player, and it didn't matter. All right, Steelers Commies. Let's talk about that game because that game was also awesome. So, Steelers are marching down the field. They're down 26 to 20, I want to say. And it's like, okay, we're going to march down here. I think they were down 26-20 because I think they won by 27, right? Oh, I just realized I Googled Commies versus Steelers, and Google did not know what I meant. I'm so used to Commie. I have to type in Commanders. I'm like, yeah, 28-7, right? Didn't they? Yes, okay. So they were down 27-20, and it's like, okay. Oh, sorry, they were down 27-21. So they're marching down. I'm like, okay, how can the Steelers get downfield? And get this win? There's like a minute and a half left. I'm watching. I'm like, are they going to win this? I really thought the Steelers were a great matchup against the Commanders. I thought they could win this game. And then all of a sudden, Russell Wilson steps back in the pocket, drops an absolute beautiful ball to Mike Williams for Mike Williams' first catch as a Steeler, and they win the game. Jaden Daniels, gets like 50 seconds to work with, can't get anything done. Steelers win. And to me, that's the teams the Commies are going to lose to this year. Next year, as long as Jaden Daniels doesn't do a sophomore slump, because I think it's interesting what we're seeing right now of Stroud. Stroud was incredible last year, but what's happening with him is what happens with every one of those great quarterbacks where how do you respond that second season where now people have a chance to react to you? As you can see, Stroud is struggling more. He's having a worse season than he did last year because teams have now circled him. They've done film review on him. They're trying to figure him out, and they're starting to. So it's going to be interesting next year. How can Stroud respond to the response, right? Like one of Lamar's worst seasons is 2020 because people were reacting to him from his 2019 season. It'll be interesting next year when Jaden Daniels is going into because people are going to circle that game with Jaden Daniels and this offense, how he can respond then. Because if he can just surpass that, then that would be incredible. Now, the Mahomes thing is wild because 2019 is still a really good season for him. And but he'll probably never put up 2018 Mahomes numbers just because people circled the Mahomes game. Like, he's not going to throw for 50 touchdowns probably ever again just because teams weren't prepared for that. Like, they just weren't. That's why he was able to throw 50 touchdowns. I think he's like the top 5 most touchdowns ever thrown in a season. It's like him, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady are like up there. And it was his second year in the NFL, his first year as a full-time starter because teams weren't prepared. So it's going to be really interesting next year at the Commies because they're going to upgrade this defense and they're going to be a better team on paper. People are going to take them to be in the Super Bowl and shit like that. But it's like you got to wait and see how Jaden can respond to. Can he respond in 1 year, or does he need? It will be that third season. Because I'm starting to think the Texans' third season might be the legit real season that I was expecting this year. I thought CJ could just leapfrog the response. He'd be able to react to a response. And as much as I love CJ Stroud, I don't think he's able to do that. Maybe we're going to get to December and January. He's going to get it rolling. This Texans team's going to get hot, and I'm going to pick them to win the Super Bowl. But at the moment, I'm starting to think it might be next year. But Steelers commies was great. Classic Steelers, they lose the first half, win the game. They do that every week. If you're going to gamble, bet that every week. If you think the Steelers could win the game, this upcoming week is going to be interesting because they're playing the Ravens. But if you think the Steelers can win the game, just bet them to lose the first half and win the game. They do that all the time. But great game. It was the only marquee matchup I picked. I did recommend some movies on streaming. They put The Lost City on Netflix. Really fun adventure comedy with Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum. Daniel Radcliffe is the bad guy, and he's quite fun. That movie's really fun. Brad Pitt cameos in it, and he's great. It's Lost City, underrated classic. I think I put it in the honorable mentions of the first ever sort of sporties. I think that released in Did that release in 22? Or was that 21? It was 22. Sorry about that. I sneezed. I don't know if I mentioned. I think it might have just been an honorable mention at the first ever sort of sporties. I don't know if we really count the 2021 awards because that was it's like a prologue to what the sort of sporties became. Didn't really know what it was yet, but that's a big recommendation. I put that on Netflix, and that movie's great. Kind of reminds me of like Night and Day. I don't know if anybody's seen that. Really underrated Tom Cruise, Cameron Diaz flick. It's very similar vibes. It's like so that movie is like a spy fun thing like that. Like it's like a fun little like rom-com that's a spy movie that has Paul Dano in it. And then I think one of the Skarsgård's in it too. He's like the bad guy, but it's not Bill. Maybe it is Bill. Which Skarsgård is it? No, it's not Bill. Sorry. I think is it Gustav? Is that his name? No. I don't know which Skarsgård it is. I guess at this point, I've already started Googling things. Let's just look it up. Peter. It's Peter. But he's Sarsgaard, not Skarsgård. Oh, he's not even related to them. Wow. My mistake. Well, that movie's on Max. Yeah, that movie's fun. Cameron Diaz, Tom Cruise, Paul Dano, Peter Sarsgaard. Sarsgaard. It's a fun little like spy action movie. A little bit of romance. It's very fun. Really enjoy that movie. Love Night and Day. But I think my high school principal once told me it was his favorite date night movie, actually. But The Lost City is kind of like the Indiana Jones Romancing the Stone equivalent to that, I would say. Very similar vibes. No Paul Dano, though, in that one. That was actually the first movie I ever saw Paul Dano in, because I watched Night and Day at like middle school. I really liked that movie. It's like one of my first Tom Cruise movies, actually. Just kind of fun. But yeah, Steelers commies, big win for the Steelers. And then now, the commies are going to take up the other Pennsylvania team. Have to take on the Eagles this week. We'll talk about that in a moment. The Eagles just smacked the Cowboys, and that was funny because they were trying to gas it up because it's Cowboys-Eagles, but this Cowboys team is not good, and Cooper Rush is obviously not as good as Dak Prescott, and so it's just the Rams lost. I was talking them up, saying they were playing well, all this stuff, and then they lost to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are bad, and so I'm just like, what? I don't understand. So that was frustrating. I guess the Dolphins aren't that. I don't even know how to feel about the Dolphins because their season's over, right? Like the Dolphins. I said 2 weeks ago we talked about which teams have fallen and can't get up, and we did the horror movie thing. I said I wasn't ready to write them off, and I stand by that. But it's like there's no world in which this team does anything other than scrape into the wild card and lose. That's the only possible thing. But it's they're just an annoyance. Why did the Rams lose? Oh my gosh. Tua tried to make a tackle on a dude, and he like tried to lower his head into him. Like, is he brain dead already? What, this, what is he doing? So that was, my goodness. Kyler Murray got blown up by Quentin Williams. Like, absolutely blown up. Like, his helmet flew off and everything. So, like, look that up, because that was an insane hit. I realized the irony in me talking about Tua and then saying that, about how cool of a thing that was. But here's the thing, is that also factors into the fact that Tua shouldn't be playing, because you see hits like that, and you go, oh, wow, yeah, Tua could get hurt really bad. Oh, my gosh. The Cardinals are just good enough to beat bad teams, but they're like the perfect wild card loss team. Where, like, they're just good enough to beat the teams that aren't any good, but when they play a good team, they're going to lose. That's the Cardinals. The Ravens beating the Bengals last night on Thursday Night Football. Bengals go for 2. They don't get it, and the Ravens win the game. Bengals decided we're not doing OT, because we always talk about it, right? It's like, do you want to go to OT or do you want to try to go for 2? And they did the ballsy move. They said no OT. We're not leaving it to the coin flip. We're going to go for 2. And they failed. I 100% think the NFL overtime rules for the regular season are stupid, and I don't know why they don't change them. But the Ravens beating the Bengals, to me, just, I understand the Bengals played quite well. I get that, la-di-da. But the Ravens, to me, they're a step above the Bengals. And if the Bengals make the playoffs, the Ravens are still a step above. The Ravens, to me, are a fringe Super Bowl contender. I might just put them in that top 5 at this point, where it's Chiefs, Texans, Lions, Ravens, Bills. That just might be the 5 Super Bowl contenders, because the Ravens, the defense isn't very good, and that's what's holding me back on saying they can win the Super Bowl. That's my only problem. I mean, Jamar Chase was cutting them up. I guess I'm keeping them out. I'm keeping them out of the Super Bowl contenders. I'm putting them outside. There's 4. They're fringe. They're fringe. That's the end of it. One more thing. So we're doing this. So obviously they started doing the Hard Knocks through the season, right? But the main Hard Knocks everybody cares about is the offseason. Well, somebody came up with the genius idea of following every team in a division during Hard Knocks. And somebody at HBO was smart and said, hey, let's do the AFC North. Because regardless of if it's actually as good as people think it's going to be, it will be interesting. And that person was oh so correct. Because premiering on December 5th, and then every week after that, we're going to get a show that chronicles the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have switched quarterbacks and found success and are the best Steelers team, I think, since 2018. Actually, no, 2017, I want to say. Yeah, 17 would be the year I'm thinking of. I think it's the best Steelers team since 2017. So that's going to be one of the teams. A Bengals team that's had oh so many problems with Jamar Chase and the I'm always open and him going to take the contract and not signing and all that. This Ravens team, which lost their DC, Mike McDonald went to the Seahawks, but now has Derrick Henry, who's been finding major success, probably the best offense Lamar's ever had, but probably the worst defense paired with it. And then a Browns team that has just been an absolute shit show of a squad. This might go down as the greatest sports documentary series. Like, I seriously think The Last Dance might get a run for its money if Hard Knocks is done properly. I do. Because, The Last Dance is, like, the sports doc. It is. And then, like, pick your favorite 30 for 30s to put after it. Like, the Magic Bird doc's really good. I think HBO did that one. Then, like, pick some of your favorite 30 for 30s. And then, of course, The Last Dance. This Hard Knocks AFC North might be up there. Like, there is a chance that we get incredible television. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware. I want to make sure my mother knows that we do have HBO Max. You could watch it. It will be awesome, and it will be entertaining. So just make sure everybody knows to tune in for that, because that's going to be pretty great. Now, with that being said, let's get to marquee matchups. 1 p.m., Ravens at Steelers. It's going to be a great game. A lot of people saying, why don't they put this on primetime? I agree, but I will say the primetime slate for this week is one of the strongest that we've had in weeks. So it's a really, Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night are all really good games this week. So, well, I guess Monday night's weak. Monday night is kind of bad. I take that back. I forget about the fact that Dak Prescott isn't playing. But there's 2 good games. The Sunday night game it would be different if the Sunday night game was the Monday night game, right? because Monday night is Texans-Cowboys and Sunday night is Chargers-Bengals. It would be different if Chargers-Bengals was Monday night and Sunday was Texans-Cowboys. I would get, then that's why you'd change it. But when Sunday Night Football this week is going to be Chargers-Bengals, there's no reason to change it. That's a good game already. And that's just a pain with tickets and all that, So, 1 p.m., Ravens at Steelers. It's going to be a really great game. This is technically the type of team the Steelers want to match up against. A very strong offense with a weak defense. The Steelers have an elite defense with an offense that improves every week. I do think there's a real world where the Steelers get the upset here. Would I bet on that? Would I go to FanDuel right now and bet? Probably not. But if you wanted to hit the Steelers lose the first half, win the game, I mean, you could go for it if you think they're going to win. It's going to be a really great game. I cannot wait for this one. It's going to be awesome. Rams at Patriots. This one is for me. It's at 1 o'clock. Best quarterback in the NFC with a Rams team that maybe they're not as good as I thought they were going to be when I talked about them last week. Maybe this is their bounce back. I'm still very intrigued by this Rams team. I still think there's something here. And then my boy Drake May. I love watching Drake May. I don't care that this is probably the worst Patriots team he'll ever play on. I just love him. So I'm going to watch it for him. So that one's for me. If you want to join me in watching that game, please do. Be warned, the final score might be 13-10. 4 p.m., Chiefs at Bills. This is the game, right? This is the big one. Don't know why this isn't Sunday night. They're getting cutesy. Whatever. 4 o'clock. I'm sure this is America's Game of the Week on Fox. I'm sure it's going to be Aikman and Burkhardt. Aikman and Burke. Why did I say Aikman? Sorry. I did Monday Night Football's crew. Sorry. Burkhardt and Brady. Sorry, Tom Brady. You were much better than Troy Aikman, both on and off the field. So, like I've said, as far as like commentary, I think Brady's probably surpassed Aikman. I don't think Aikman's very good. He just kind of reminds me of my dad, and that is not a bad thing for what it's worth. But I'm used to watching football games with my dad, so he doesn't add anything. It's like, yeah, I know what my dad thinks. I'm sitting here talking to him most of the time. I don't need I guess you could argue, well, you're at college, you miss watching games with your dad. Yeah, I do. And then I'll just call him. I don't need Troy Aikman to impersonate him. So that's why I prefer Brady. It's like you thought I was going to give like actual analysis, and then I pulled out that shit. Anyways, yeah. Okay. Chiefs and Bills, I'm a little upset, though. I have to admit, because I'm going to miss this game. I know. You're like, what? So there's a group of kids at the college that were like, hey, we're selling these tickets for the Cavs game. It's like a really great deal, and it was a great deal. I'm going to the Cavs game very cheaply, and I was pretty excited. Like, it was like $30. And I literally said to them, I was like, well, did the Panthers play? And we looked, and it was like, no, they're on bye. So I was like, okay, I should take the opportunity. Bunch of students I know are going. I'll go. Did not realize same week as Bills Chiefs. So I'm a little disappointed. Genevieve said she's going to give me notes. So expect great notes from her. But yeah, a little disappointed I'm going to miss this. It's fine. It's fine. Cavs play the Hornets. Cavs are undefeated. Trey Mann highlights, I guess, for the Hornets. I don't know. I don't know why I'm being a Debbie Downer. I hate being a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I hate Debbie Downers. But I'm going to be honest. I was like, damn. But it's whatever. It's whatever. I'm excited. It'll be fun. We're just doing primetime picks. Thursday Night Football, Commies, Eagles. I have to admit to you guys, I think I've watched maybe a half of the Eagles this year. I don't care to watch this team. I just don't think Sirianni does a good job with the talent he's given. On paper, this should be a top 5 team in the league. They are not. I think they're winning despite him. I don't really think he's good. So I'm going to take the Commies here. They're better coached. I think Dan Quinn's doing a really great job with them. as long as the Chiefs don't go undefeated or the Lions go 16-1, Dan Quinn will probably be coach of the year. But to me, if the Lions go 16-1, Dan Campbell might have to be coach of the year. I understand that team was expected to be good, but like 16-1, like damn, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they choose. But I'm gonna take the Commies to win this. I think they're better, but I'm also telling you, I barely watched any Eagles. I've watched more Jaguar football this year than Eagles. The Eagles might be the team I've watched the least in the entire league. The Titans would have, but I went to that game that was Bills-Titans, so I've seen them live and in person. And those uniforms are hideous. The Titans need to redo their entire wardrobe. But let's do Sunday Night Football. Chargers-Bengals. You guys know I'm picking the Chargers here. You know they're going to run some graphic about how Herb and Burrow were drafted in the same draft or whatever the hell, but Herbert's better. Actually, he's not better. I don't know why I said that. Herbert's got the better coach and the better team, I think. Herbert is not better than Joe Burrow. I really like Justin Herbert, but he's probably the 7th best quarterback in the NFL. Sounds about right in my mind. 7th, 6th being Stafford. But you're still putting C.J. Stroud top 5, Ryan? Yeah, I can't really not. I don't know. He was so damn good. I'm not willing to. Because next year he's going to bounce back, and it's going to be like, oh, yeah. So, yeah. You know what I mean? That was nothing. That was just me saying, yeah, but hopefully you understood what I'm saying. Like, he's going to bounce back next year, and everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah, he is, like, insanely good. And it's going to be like, yeah, of course he was. I don't know why anybody questioned that. So I do think the Chargers are going to beat the Bengals, and people are going to start going, oh, wait, this Chargers team is really good. And if the Chiefs weren't undefeated, we would realize that this Chargers team is really good. They are going to probably win a playoff game. Wowzers. Yeah, they are. They're really well coached. They're really good. Harbaugh has them working at a high level. J.K. Dobbins is a great fantasy running back. It's a good team. So, yeah, Chargers over Bengals. They should beat them on all levels. It'll be a close game because of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but this Chargers team is they're kind of like the antithesis of the way the Bengals play. And what I mean by that is they spread it well, like talent-wise. It's like the Bengals are so top-heavy talent-wise. And this Chargers team, it's like Herbert and a bunch of guys. And I think that works better because Herbert is good enough. He can elevate talent. I would say Matthew Stafford is also in that. So there's 7 guys, I think, in the league that can elevate talent. It's pretty impressive. Monday Night Football, Texans versus Cowboys. I guess I should also say, in CJ's defense, he doesn't have Nico Collins back, and that's his boy. So he has his guy Tank Dell, though. He loves Tank Dell. But Texans should beat the Cowboys. Great bounce back win. They'll look great, play great, look good, feel good, play good type thing, right? Texans should get a big win here. But really the story coming out of this weekend, because a lot of the primetime games dictate the story, because a lot of your casual fans are just watching primetime games, is going to be the Chargers. People are going to be talking about the Chargers heavy if they beat the Bengals this weekend. If the Bengals win, it's going to be, oh, the Bengals are going to do it again. Are they going to have a big run? If the Chargers beat the Bengals, it's going to be, is this the end of the Bengals season? And are the Chargers like really that good? And I think the answer to both those questions is yes. So let's do a quick ramblings of reels and writings. I've been reading The Stand. I am officially past page 500. I'm officially over halfway through. I know I've been reading this book since July, but I do think I'm probably going to finish in the next couple weeks. I've been, within the span of 3 days, I read 200 pages in the span of 2 days. So pretty proud of that. It's just really started kicking up. I went through a period I was reading it heavy, and then I kind of stopped for a while, and then I went back to it, and now I'm back engrossed. And I think the thing with The Stand is that it might be the True Detective of books. And by what I mean by that is True Detective Season 1 is like so damn good. And it might not be my favorite show of all time. It's probably my top 10. Maybe top 5. Probably not top 5. But it's in my top 10, right? But it is undeniably probably the best show I've ever watched. Just not my favorite. Like if you were like, what's the greatest TV show you've ever seen? It's probably True Detective Season 1. It's just perfect. Now my favorite show, I mean, that's probably, that's like Seinfeld and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is like my favorite show ever. But if you're like, what's the best show you've ever seen? It's True Detective. Now, if you're like, okay, well, eliminate the drama. I mean, like, eliminate sitcoms, just dramas. What's the best show you've ever seen? True Detective, right? What's your favorite show out of non-sitcoms? Burn Notice. But like, True Detective's better than Burn Notice. I'm not stupid. Not by much, I want to state. Burn Notice is incredible, but Burn Notice is, like, it's very me. It speaks to me. If we did a Hall of Fame for TV shows, I'm thinking about doing something for TV shows, but I don't want to just do Hall of Fame. I feel like Hall of Fame has to be for film. We have to figure out a different system. I know Hall of Fame makes sense, right? Something gets inducted in the Hall of Fame, it's there permanently, la-di-da, right? But I would like to do something different for TV shows. I think it'd be more fun. Just to spice things up. I don't want to just do the same thing again. I want to do something different. We're going to get to the point where the Sort of Sporties is like a 3 to 4 hour podcast. Like, we're going to get to a point where I have to do it in parts, where it's like, this is the TV part, this is the music part, this is the movie part. And I don't really care, because I love recording those. You guys don't know this, because I don't know how many of you know me personally, but the ones of you that don't know me personally, like, I legitimately sit around and I'll be like, oh, Genevieve, it's going to be a really good year for movies in 2024. Like, we might have 3 or 4 movies that came out this year that go in the Hall of Fame. I have high hopes for Gladiator 2. I think Gladiator 2 might go in the Hall of Fame. Like, there's a chance it's that damn good. We already got some movies that have a chance, as in Twisters, Dune Part 2, Challengers. Then there's movies that are just really good from this year that aren't going to go in the Hall of Fame, but are really good, like The Bike Riders, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm forgetting one. Fall Guy. Like, we've been some really, really good. Beekeeper was really fun, too. Like, it's been a really good year for releases within this year. And I was like, but overall, we're not going to have a lot of Hall of Fame movies this year. Last year, we had 25 movies going in the Hall of Fame. This year, not going to be anywhere near that much. So, no, I've just been trying different things out more. I mean, I've watched one new Tarantino movie, like, I hadn't seen. And I've watched 0 new Fincher movies. I'm just thinking about the stuff that, like, I haven't watched a Christopher Nolan movie I haven't seen. I've really just been branching out. I've been watching a lot of random stuff. I think this was the year of, like, the Tubi movies for me, like, stuff like that, which is really fun. But, I'm taking more risks. But because of that, last year I was going surefire. It's like, yeah, people have told me for years I should watch Seven. Boom, watched it, loved it. People have told me for years I should watch this movie. Boom, watched it, loved. Like, people told me for a while I should watch Crazy Stupid Love. I should watch La La Land. I went through a lot of recs last year. This year I've been just doing, like, what's this? Let's try it. So it's been very fun. I like that this year's had a different tone, but this has kind of been the year of some peak TV for me. I've watched a lot of television shows I've really liked. This is the most, like, non-sitcoms I've ever watched in my life, and I've had a great time. And I've watched some really good sitcoms. Evan put me on 30 Rock, and I've been enjoying that. And so not sure what we'll do. Maybe we'll do, I don't know. I know my mom listens to it. So, Mom, whatever your idea is for the, like, the way we're going to do, like, a Hall of Fame for TV shows that isn't just the same as the Hall of Fame, let me know. Let me know what you think, Mom. But anybody else you have thoughts, just, leave them too. Paige, if you're listening to this, my sister, what's your thoughts? Genevieve, obviously, you can tell me, whatever. All right. Back to the stand then. I think what I'm going to do in the future is, I think when I finish the stand, I'm going to read Elmore Leonard, and then I'm probably going to read something else, and then I'll back to Elmore Leonard. I tried to read Elmore Leonard, then a different book, then Elmore Leonard, then a different book. But I'm really eyeing this New York Knicks book I bought, Blood in the Garden, all about the 90s Knicks, with Pat Riley and Patrick Ewing. That'll be really interesting. But I think the thing, down the line, I got to read 11/22/63. I'm very intrigued. So maybe it'll just be like every year I have one massive book I try to read within the year. Last year that was Wheel of Time. This year it's Stand. Next year it's 11. Like, maybe that's what I do every year, is try to commit to one big book and just be able to say, okay, I read that alongside everything else I read. And that'd be a good feeling. But the thing is with the Stand that's very impressive is that I talk a lot about, and I've said this before, that I think we don't realize how much we just enjoy stories about people. Like, I think plot can honestly be overrated, and we just enjoy the interactions of people, but that's hard to write well. It's hard to sell somebody on, it's a show about, it's just about people, without it being over dramatified. Like, look at shows like, Dawson's Creek, The OC, that type of stuff. It's over dramatified, right? It's honestly soap opera-y. The Stand's able to do that. And it uses the plague and the end of the world as honestly a vehicle to just tell a story about people and the way we interact as people. And it's one of those where when you break something down, you get to see the parts, right? Like I don't know how to describe it. Like when you destroy a building, you see every piece, right? You're seeing the drywall, you're seeing the pipes, you're seeing every piece of it. Whereas when it's all put together, you just see the house, right? You just see the siding, you just see all that. It's like when you bite into a burger and now you see everything that's on the inside, right? Hopefully this is making sense. He's breaking down societies, and we can we can look at what builds it. And that's really interesting. And it's just kind of a story about people. And I think that's why it really started speaking to me in the middle of the book. And I'm like burning through it now because it's now just become like a character drama. But you got to have that like 400 pages of plague stuff and meeting the characters for the character drama to work. So it's not that I didn't enjoy the first 400 pages. I was still like, this is really good. But I think part of the reason I paused is I was like, this is a 1,100 page book. You're going to hit a pause. If you were somebody that was able to just burn through it, very impressive. Me personally, it's not the way I am. But now I'm back on it. I'm rolling. And I think I'm probably just going to roll on to the end. Like, I don't really feel like I'm going to stop again because now it's just very character driven because I know these characters well. And that's really special feeling when a book can get to that. And Elmore does a really good job of trying to do that as fast as possible. Like, very quickly, you feel like within the first 50 pages, you feel like you know these characters. But because of that, you're not going to get as intense and deep as Stephen King's getting because, Stephen King's done 500 pages of build-up. Whereas if you read 500 pages of Elmore Leonard, you've already read 2 full books. They're going for very different things. And I really have found that that's what I've been enjoying about this book is the character, how it's become like a character study essentially. And my boy Stu Redman is just like one of the best characters in all fiction, period. I just got to state that. I'm serious, he's like a top 5 literary character for me. I love Stu Redman. I think he's awesome. And every chapter that's about him, I'm like so locked in because I just think he's great. I picture Stu Redman like Stu Bennett, the professional wrestler, which is a little old. I understand that. For those of you who don't know who Stu Bennett is, he's also Wade Barrett. The wrestler. But that's how I picture Stu Redman. And I love Stu Redman. Nick's great too. Larry, I picture like Andy Samberg. Maybe when I finish the book, I'll go through and I'll tell you who I cast as everybody. So, that's what I'll do. That'll be fun. We'll do that. When I finish The Stand, we'll go through and I'll tell everybody. Well, I mean, we can just do it now. Whatever. So the way they described Franny, oddly enough, I actually pictured Cameron Brink as her because she's supposed to be tall. And I'm like, tall actresses. I've struggled for tall blonde actresses other than like Elizabeth Debicki, but that didn't sit with me right. She seems very older and Franny's supposed to be younger. So I'm for Cameron Brink. Just very funny to me that Cameron Brink is like rolling around in the apocalypse pregnant, but that's how it's going. Harold, I can't even describe to you. I don't know where I've even thought of this face. I don't know what side character and what TV show, but kind of like a short, stout guy with long brown hair and like a double chin. It's not flattering at all for Harold. Stu Redman's been Wade Barrett from the jump. He's been Wade Barrett. Larry Underwood has been Andy Samberg from the jump. Nick, this one's weird. Nick, I picture like Billy Currington. Like the country artist, which makes Nick very sexy. I don't think he's supposed to be, but I've already committed. So that's Nick. And then, Mother Abigail, I just kind of picture like a little old black woman. There's no one like specific. Yeah, I mean, that one, like, I'm trying to think because there is, I'm thinking because like I mostly cast all the characters, but there are a few that like I just kind of picture because like I don't have like a distinct character for like because like I said, like Cameron Brink is obviously very distinct. Billy Currington is very distinct, but like Tom Cullen, I don't have like a distinct actor like Tom Cullen. I kind of picture him like Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber. I don't think that's actually a bad one. But my favorite casting I did, and I don't know how I came upon this. Obviously, it's not all the characters, but those are the ones that like really stick out in my mind, right? The main casting I have, and I don't know why this is, but when he started describing Randall Flagg, I pictured him like Michael Bay, and I can't unsee it. And so now, whenever I'm reading, he does that sneer, I picture like Michael Bay doing like a sneer. I think at some point I've seen some picture of like Michael Bay with like a, bless you, Evan. There was at some point, sorry, my roommate sneezed. At some point, I've seen a picture of Michael Bay with like a smirk, and I don't know why, but that is how I permanently picture Randall Flagg. So it's just really funny to me, because when I'm reading it, the way he writes Randall Flagg, it's very intense. I can see, because I don't like horror books, but I can see why he's a really good horror author, because he does a really good job building the tension just in a book, which is very impressive writing. And he does a great job with Randall Flagg that way. When I'm done reading it and I'm thinking about it later, sometimes I do laugh to myself, where it's like, yeah, that entire time I was like terrified, and it was Michael Bay in my mind, who's like sneering and grinning evilly. It's just funny. Lloyd I picture the same way as I pictured who's the guy in Mice? Evan. Who's the guy in Mice and Men that's dumb?
No idea.
You never read Mice and Men? No. Oh, goodness. You're missing out. Maybe. Mice and Men. Is it Larry? Lenny. Yes. Lenny, obviously. I guess I shouldn't say he's dumb, but obviously Lenny has some mental problems, and I picture him like the way I pictured Lenny in Mice and Men, which is the guy in Tangled who has the big nose that wants to be a singer. Very distinct, but that is how I picture both Lloyd and Lenny from Mice and Men. So that's the main cast of The Stand in my mind. I do know that Gary Sinise apparently plays Stu Redman. Not grizzled enough to be my Stu Redman. Just want to say. If you were like a real actor other than Wade Barrett, because if I made The Stand, I would go get Wade Barrett and he would cook. But I guess like Hugh Jackman, like grizzled Hugh Jackman, like a Carl Urban, but Carl Urban isn't really Texas. That's the problem. Yeah, and Hugh's Australian, but it really doesn't matter because I don't know. Hugh could just do it. I'm not concerned. I love my boy Glenn Powell, but he is not anyone in The Stand. Have not cast him as anyone. See, I just think he's too good looking to be Stu. Like, I don't know. Stu's got to be a little gruff. Because that's my problem with Gary Sinise. Not enough gruff. I think when I'm done, I'm going to watch the Stand TV show. Both the 90s and the modern. Even though the modern one's apparently bad. But I've just enjoyed it so much. I do think it's probably one of the best books I've ever read. And it's pretty good. And I'm in the late 500s of pages, and I'm gonna finish it, and it's really good. So very excited. After this, I'm gonna read Out of Sight by Elmore Leonard. So it'll be my next Leonard. Then after that, probably that Nick's book. Like I said, down the line, I'm gonna read 11, 22, 63. Who knows? Whenever I feel like reading a big book again, but that'll be my goal for next year, is to read that big book. But you just feel very accomplished when you read a big book. You do. Reading's fun because it's kind of like when I watch a TV show, very happy. When I watch a movie, I'm very happy. But, you know, when I watch that, it's like eating a nice meal. When I read a book, it's like I ate like a really good salad. Like, not only did I enjoy it, but I also felt good about myself. And that's what's fun about reading. All right, that's enough of me casting characters that maybe you aren't even aware of. I wanted to say I watched White Men Can't Jump the other night. Incredibly disappointed. That movie kind of sucks. And I love Wesley Snipes, and I love Woody Harrelson. They're probably both top 25 favorite actors of all time for me. Love Woody Harrelson. Genevieve's little sister said I look like him in Hunger Games. That was funny. Apparently they're casting for a young Haymitch for this new Hunger Games book. She's writing that new Hunger Games book. It's about Haymitch's games. Basically what I'm saying is, call me. I'll play it. I'd love to. I'll meet Woody Harrelson. He'll teach me. He'll be my acting coach and the guy I have to kind of impersonate. Woody Harrelson, hit me up. But I love Woody Harrelson. I think he's good in like every movie. I know Wesley Snipes is probably crazy, but I love him in every movie. I was really pumped. It's really just not good. The aesthetic is like, the colors are fun, the aesthetic is fun, but like it doesn't, the plot structure is bad. The characters, it's like you want to like them, but they're kind of not good people. I don't understand. It's not good. It's not good. I can't imagine. I was disappointed. This is like an iconic. Do people just like it because it has a fun title and the poster's cool? Is that all that happened here? Are people tricked into liking this movie because the poster is cool? It has fun colors, two great like lead actors. Is that all it is? Is that why it's iconic? And I know you're thinking, Ryan, you love Space Jam, and you're saying this about White Men Can't Jump. Space Jam is better than this movie. I'm serious. Like, I genuinely am starting to think that people just like this movie because the colors are fun, the two leads are great, the poster is cool, the title is funny, and people were really down bad for Rosie Perez. I think that's all it is. I genuinely think that's all it is. Yeah, it's just not. I'm disappointed. Yeah. Well, damn. I feel like at some point I gotta watch He Got Game. Jesus Shuttlesworth. Ray Allen. I don't actually know if it's pronounced Jesus. It might be Jesus. I don't know. A buddy of mine had a Shuttlesworth jersey in high school. So shout out Mason White. That was pretty sweet. All right. I think it's Spike Lee, isn't it? He Got Game. Isn't it He Got Game, Spike Lee? Yeah. That's what I thought. Cool. All right. Sweet. Okay, I'm putting this off, but let's do it. We're going to talk about Outer Banks, and then we're going to wrap up. So, Outer Banks. Basically, they dropped the second part of season 4. Now, I ranted about Outer Banks and its writing a couple weeks back. And I'm currently, as soon as I'm done recording this, going to watch the season finale. Genevieve says the season finale does something wild. If it is so wild that I want to record another podcast just to talk about it, that might be episode 117. So be prepared. We will see. The problem with Outer Banks is I get frustrated with the writing. In episode 6, they did a literal emo montage where like JJ like goes downtown and is all pissed off, and they're playing music that's like, I just hate my life. Mom and dad didn't raise me right. Rah, 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 rah. Like, obviously that's not bar for bar what they're saying, but that's what it felt like, right? I mean, they might as well. It'd been really funny if they played like "Rockin' the Suburbs" by Ben Folds. Just like went full ironic, made fun of it. Oh my. That'd been really funny. No, it's just I was like, really, this is what we're doing? He is like smiling to himself, like and like tosses the bat, like a baseball bat, in his hand, catches it, and like smashes a window, and like looks around. I'm like, what are we doing? This is just like emo TikTok thirst trap fantasy. Like, are you guys just setting it up for like TikTok thirst traps now for my sister to like because she's into the dude who plays JJ? Is that all this is for? Like, is this what we're doing now? Just like, come on. But at the same time, I couldn't admit. I mean, I can't lie. I can't admit. I can't lie. After I got over the initial absurdity, for the next 2 minutes of the montage, I was enjoying myself. And I was like, damn it. This show. Because on the one hand, I think it's dumb sometimes. But there is something. This show's just got juice. I don't know what it is. I think it's because it's shot really well. Like they make it look like Outer Banks is like the coolest planet. I mean, the coolest place on the planet. And I think that's impressive. It's like essentially just an advertisement to vacation there. And every night scene, like 9 out of 10 of them are clearly shot during the day and color corrected because there's no way night is that blue there. And I just don't really care. It's kind of part of the vibe now. Even though it stands out like a sore thumb when we did an actual shot at night scene and we're cutting in between that and a clearly color corrected scene. It's like part of the vibe. Like I just enjoy the show for what it is. And even though the show frustrates me and I ranted about it, I have enjoyed the second half of this season so much. And I think it's because the show is at its best when it's doing the Outer Banks character dramas and the treasure hunting. Bless you. Evan sneezed again. And what I mean by that is, in the latter part of the season, they go heavy on the national treasure hunting. I wouldn't say it's Indiana Jones, because Indiana Jones and Uncharted are like, hey, we got to travel to this temple underground, blah, 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 and, you know, Bolivia or something like that. Whereas it's very national treasure where it's like, oh, and this is hidden in this gravestone underneath the church. Which, I mean, I guess it also happens in Indiana Jones. I just think Indiana Jones is so sacred. I'm giving it national treasure status because I love national treasure. But national treasure is not as sacred as Indiana Jones. National treasure is still... Whatever year I watch National Treasure 1 and 2, it's 100% going to the Hall of Fame. This made me think I kind of just want to rewatch National Treasure tonight. I might actually have to. But anyways, when they're doing the National Treasure stuff and they're doing the Pogues Kooks character drama stuff, that's when the show's at its best. It is at its worst when it's motorbike racing in whatever country they were in. Was it Puerto Rico at the beginning of the second season? Whatever the hell that second season was. Where it's like, oh, we're being double-crossed by so-and-so, and Sarah's pissed at John B. And it's just dumb. It's dumb because, like, I don't know. This show's at its best when it's like they did a courtroom scene, and it was corny as hell. And it was like Pogues versus Kooks, and John B. stands up, and all the Pogues cheer, and the Kooks are like, oh, no. And I was like, oh, I'm eating this up. And then, like, a riot ensues between the Pogues and the Kooks, and I'm like, this is corny and off the walls, but I love it. I love this show because they were doing their Pogues versus Kooks dynamic. And then after that, we got an episode that was all very National Treasury, and we were going after the treasure and digging up graves, and it was awesome. And I was like, the show's still got the juice. I think season 4 might be the second best season. I think it's better than season 3. Is this recency bias? Maybe. But there's something about this damn show. It may frustrate me at some points. Like the time they did a fake out death with Sarah Cameron. Or the time John B. fell out of a lighthouse and was completely fine. But it is undeniably one of my favorite shows of all time. And one of the most me shows to ever exist. Like if you just said, what's put in the pot, things Ryan likes. It would be hard to create a show that is more built for me to enjoy than Outer Banks. I actually genuinely believe this show is more tailored to me than even Burn Notice is, which is insane because Burn Notice is insanely tailored to me. They even have an episode that's genuinely just rip off Die Hard. So I'm saying, I love this show. I'm going to watch the finale. I'm probably going to enjoy it. And I can't wait for that 5th season. And when this show ends, I am simultaneously going to be slightly frustrated by some of the decisions they've made over time. But I will also probably recognize it as a show I will continue to rewatch the rest of my life and will probably permanently love because there's just something about this damn show. I don't know what it is. And maybe it's kind of like the thing where they always say, like, your favorite movie when you're 13 is a favorite movie the rest of your life. For me, it was actually like 15. Because when I was 15, it was the summer of 2020, I watched Outer Banks the first time, and I watched Beverly Hills Cop, first time ever in July 2020. And to this day, Beverly Hills Cop is now my favorite movie, and Outer Banks is one of my favorite shows ever. So maybe it was 15 for me. Like, there's just something about that age when I was like 15, 16, where the movies and the TV shows I watched around that time are just incredibly special to me. Maybe. But around that time was the first time I watched Moneyball, too. Oddly enough. So I watched Moneyball for the first time during COVID, too. But yeah, even after all my frustrations, I cannot lie to you all. I truly do love this show. Even though it can annoy me. They really understood the fact that that JJ's their best character. Because him and that guy who plays Rafe are the two that can act the most. They are legitimately good actors. Like, the guy who plays Rafe is going to be in this new movie with Daniel Craig, where him and Daniel Craig are gay, and I'm sure they're both going to give incredible performances. It's Luca's new movie. The guy, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name right now. It's like Guadagnino. I'm not exactly sure. I really need to look it up. But he made Challengers, and this is his next movie. He's the same guy who made Call Me By Your Name, so saying he obviously makes lots of like homoerotic or, movies that focus on homosexuals or have, like, homosexual tones to them, like he did in Challengers, because I do think that was the subtext there. But that's his new movie with Daniel Craig and whatever the guy's name that plays Rafe is, and I'm sure he's going to give a great performance because that guy's really good. That guy's really good at acting. And the guy who plays JJ is also really good. Both of them are better than most of the adults in the show that act. I like the guy who plays Shoop. He just looks like Steve Martin, and he's good. I like him. Hey, yeah, show. I mean, it's just a fun show, and I can't lie. And they focused this season on JJ because they recognized he is the best character, and yeah, he is the best. And he's frustrating, but he's the best. And when you focus the story on him, it is less apparent that, oh, we don't know how to create a conflict, so we're going to have JJ do something dumb, because you're seeing the why behind him doing something dumb. And so it feels less forced. It feels more like natural story progression. It's a dirty little trick, but it's worked. So that's my thoughts on Outer Banks. I'm going to watch the finale right now, and I'm hoping it's going to be excellent. So, all right, that's it from me. I can't believe I do like this show a lot. My goodness. All right, bye.